Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today because we're going to look at something that affects literally every single one of us, whether we realize it or not. Today's goal, we are going to decode the psychological machinery of luxury marketing so you can master your own biology and, frankly, protect your bank accounts. We're pulling completely back the curtain on how these massive brands actually operate. Okay, let's dive right into this. Picture this scenario. You're walking through a high-end mall, and you spot this gorgeous leather handbag just glowing in a pristine window display. It costs $5,000. Now, compare that to a $50 bag from Target. For all intents and purposes, the physical reality of these two items is practically identical. We're talking about a basic collection of leather and thread, the exact same basic raw materials. Yet, your heart starts to race a little when you look at that $5,000 option. Your brain immediately justifies the cost, telling you, oh, it's worth it. It's a totally jarring cognitive dissonance, isn't it? Well, that dissonance you're feeling, that is definitely no accident. What's happening is your brain is being tricked into believing it is buying into a higher social caste. It's a massive perception hack. You see, luxury brands aren't actually in the business of selling functional products. They're in the business of social engineering. You aren't buying better leather. You're buying perceived value that magically turns a functionally $5 object into a profound status symbol. To understand exactly how they pull this off, let's walk through the ultimate hacker's playbook. Here's exactly what we are going to decode today. Number 1, the scarcity illusion. 2, the prestige pricing trap. 3, triangulation. 4, performance of heritage. And finally, number 5, the perception tax. This is the exact playbook luxury brands use as social engineers to manipulate our biology. All right, starting off with number 1, the scarcity illusion. This is all about exploiting biology. To really get this, we have to look at our own evolutionary biology. Humans are just hardwired to place a drastically higher value on things that are rare. It's the exact same reason we value a shiny yellow rock, like gold, way more than we value some average gray rock sitting in our driveway, right? Our brains equate rarity with immense importance and survival value. Well, luxury brands know all about this biological quirk, and they actively manufacture an illusion to exploit it. They use artificial waiting lists and limited editions to trick your brain into believing the supply is genuinely critically low, but they aren't actually running out of leather. No way. They are just strictly controlling the spigot to keep you thirsty. Let's move to the next slide and see exactly how this builds into a perfect, self-fulfilling economic prophecy that guarantees a premium price point. Step 1, the supply appears artificially low. Because of our biological hardwiring, Step 2 triggers instantly. Consumer demand spikes. We panic. We need that rare thing, which leads seamlessly to Step 3. The consumer happily, almost desperately, pays a massive premium just to secure their spot as one of the few. You aren't paying for the bag. You are paying to win a totally manufactured game of musical chairs. And that brings us to number 2, the prestige pricing trap, where the price actually becomes the product. In the normal, everyday world, the cost of an item is usually determined by how much it costs to make. But in the luxury world, the cost of production has absolutely nothing to do with the price tag. It's a complete psychological flip. Instead of seeing a massive price tag as a deterrent or a giant red flag to walk away, your brain uses that astronomical number as an immediate shortcut to assume incredible quality and high status. That crazy high price isn't a deterrent at all. It's a direct trigger for your internal chemistry. So the crucial point here is, in the luxury world, the price literally is the product. You aren't shelling out thousands of dollars for the craftsmanship of a handbag. Actually, scratch that. You are buying the high of spending that highly specific, painfully large amount of money. The brand needs the price to be agonizingly high, because otherwise that psychological shortcut just doesn't work. When you see that price and seriously consider paying it, your dopamine reward circuit just goes absolutely wild. It's the onset of a status high. That $5,000 price tag fires off dopamine exactly like a strong cup of caffeine, or, the sudden dizzying rush of watching a meme coin spike in your crypto wallet. It gives you this incredible, focused and alive chemical rush that makes you feel completely untouchable. Moving right along to our third social engineering tactic, triangulation. Luxury brands know full well that just telling you their bag is great, that's not enough. They need to pull in a third party to manipulate your perception and really validate that crazy cost. This is triangulation. They pull in a high-status influencer or a massive A-list celebrity to validate the brand, which artificially creates immense social proof. Suddenly, it feels way less like you're just making a solitary purchase in a vacuum and much more like you're joining an elite, exclusive team. If your favorite seemingly flawless celebrity carries this bag, your brain says the bag must be the key to their flawless life. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the incredibly subtle and honestly dangerous shift in power that happens here. Because you see this bag everywhere among the elite, you feel outnumbered by visible social proof. And because you feel outnumbered, your critical inner voice, the one screaming, hey, $5,000 for some leather is crazy, starts to get much, much smaller. You actually stop questioning the product's actual worth. And in this brilliant, twisted bit of manipulation, you start wondering if you are worthy of the product. Next up, number 4, performance of heritage, the overwhelming narrative. Honestly, shopping for these luxury items shares some surprisingly confusing dynamics with navigating a toxic relationship. Let me explain. A performance of heritage is a highly orchestrated narrative performance. These brands don't just hand you a bag. They totally overwhelm you with intensity. They sweep you away with grand sweeping stories of 200-year-old craftsmanship, historical royal appointments, and these heavy promises of forever quality. The entire goal is to overwhelm you and build a massive wall of false trust before you have even touched the product. They do this specifically so you don't look too closely at the actual stitching. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact parallel I was just talking about. On the left, we have love bombing in a toxic relationship, using overwhelming emotional intensity to build false trust so you ignore the glaring red flags. On the right, the luxury brand performance of heritage, using 200-year-old histories to build false value so you completely ignore the price tag. Economically and psychologically, the manipulation is literally identical. You are being swept off your feet specifically so you stop looking at the ground. Which brings us to the final section of our agenda, number 5, the perception tax. Let's look at the real cost. All right, it is time to pull completely back the curtain on this entire social construct we've just outlined. The raw reality is that the value of these luxury brands is purely a social construct built entirely on shared belief and trust. It operates exactly like the paper currency sitting in your wallet right now. A $100 bill is literally just a piece of paper. It only has value because we all collectively agree it does. If everyone woke up tomorrow and simply stopped believing that a Gucci bag was special, it would instantly revert to just being a bag. The magic spell would be completely broken. So, as the source text beautifully notes, when you buy into these tricks, you are essentially paying a perception tax. By falling for this machinery, you are trading something very, very real. Your hard-earned assets, the literal hours of your life you traded to earn that money, your time tax, for nothing more than a fleeting chemical high generated by a shared illusion. Let's quickly trace the visceral, often painful emotional timeline of this whole transaction. You start at the peak. Swiping that credit card feels like true enlightenment. You've made it. But then comes the trade. You've swapped your vital, hard-earned time tax for a quick spike in dopamine. And as we know, dopamine doesn't last. Next is the come down. That high inevitably fades, and you descend straight down into the crushing metabolic fire of buyer's remorse. And finally, reality sets in. Owning that bag didn't fundamentally change you. You aren't actually more valuable as a person. Your bank account is just significantly smaller. So, the ultimate empowering takeaway from this explainer is clear. Stop being a meat puppet for fashion houses. The hard truth here is that true wealth is built by understanding these formulas and being the one who actually creates value, not by spending your assets on things that simply trick your brain. Do not let a shadowy algorithm, a manufactured waiting list, or some flashy storefront decide what your time, your energy, and your life are actually worth. To wrap things up, I want to leave you with a provocative question to chew on. Which luxury brand do you think has actually mastered the best perception hack? Is it the artificial scarcity and those impossible waiting lists over at Rolex? Or is it the intense heritage love bombing of a brand like Louis Vuitton? I want you to head down to the comments and let me know your thoughts. I really do read them all. And hey, if you're ready to continue mastering the machinery of your own life and understanding the systems built around us, make sure to hit subscribe. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And remember, don't just live in your body, master it.